Welcome to long-form content of Tech Bytes and News. This is a compilation on latest news and articles featured on Hacker News. You can find the original links of articles in the description. Please like and subscribe to support future content. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into the exhilarating world of Tailwind CSS version 4.0. Holy smokes, it's finally here.
Yeah, I saw the announcement. 5 times faster builds? That's insane. What's the core of this upgrade?
It's a complete overhaul, a ground-up rewrite. Think of it as a finely tuned sports car replacing a reliable but slightly sluggish sedan. Performance is the big winner here. Full builds are up to 5x faster. Incremental builds are over 100x faster. We're talking microseconds.
Microseconds? Wow. So what's driving these speed improvements?
A new high-performance engine is the key. They've leveraged modern CSS features like cascade layers, registered custom properties, and color mix. It's all about efficiency and utilizing the latest web platform advancements.
I see. And what about the installation process? I remember that being a bit of a hurdle in previous versions.
Simplified dramatically. Fewer dependencies, zero configuration, and just a single line of code to import Tailwind into your CSS. It's ridiculously easy now.
That's a huge win for developers, especially those starting new projects. But what about existing projects? Upgrading sounds daunting.
They've got you covered. A comprehensive upgrade guide and even an automated upgrade tool are available. They're making the transition as smooth as possible.
That's reassuring. What other significant changes are there besides the speed boost and easier installation?
Oh, there's a ton. Automatic content detection eliminates the need to manually configure the content array. Built-in import support means no more external plugins for including other CSS files. And the configuration itself has shifted from JavaScript to CSS, a CSS-first approach.
CSS first? Interesting. So all the customization happens directly within the CSS file?
Exactly. It streamlines the process and makes everything more cohesive. Plus, they've introduced CSS theme variables, exposing design tokens as native CSS variables for easy access and reuse. It's a really elegant solution.
That sounds incredibly powerful. What about new features? Any exciting additions?
Loads! Dynamic utility values and variants let you create grids of any size and target custom data attributes without extra configuration. They've modernized the color palette to P3, offering more vivid colors. Container queries are now built in, no more plugins needed.
Container queries built in. That's fantastic news. What about other additions? I'm curious about the new utilities.
Yeah, there are new 3D transform utilities, expanded gradient APIs with conic and radial gradients, a not variant for negating styles, and support for @starting style for animations without JavaScript. It's a massive update.
Wow, this is a game changer. It seems like they've addressed almost every aspect of the framework. Are there any downsides or potential drawbacks?
Well, the sheer number of new features might be overwhelming for some developers initially. Also, some of the newer features, like @starting dash style, might have limited browser support for now. But overall, the benefits far outweigh any potential drawbacks.
I agree. It sounds like a truly significant release. Thanks for breaking it down for us.
My pleasure. And that's it for our deep dive into Tailwind CSS version 4.0. Go check it out, folks. It's amazing. Thanks for listening to Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into Tray, an AI-powered IDE promising to revolutionize how we code. It's incredibly exciting stuff.
I'm all ears. From what I've gathered, Tray isn't just another autocomplete tool, right? It seems to offer a much more comprehensive approach to coding assistance.
Exactly. Tray positions itself as a collaborative partner, seamlessly blending human and AI capabilities. Think of it as having a super smart coding assistant working alongside you, handling tasks based on its strengths. It's adaptive, learning your workflow, and improving over time.
So how does this collaboration actually work in practice? Is it just about suggesting code completions, or is there more to it?
Oh, there's way more. Tray boasts a builder mode where it automatically breaks down complex tasks into smaller, manageable steps. You get a preview of each step, maintaining full control. It's like having a project manager built into your IDE.
That's pretty impressive. And the multimodal aspect? I saw something about image uploads. How does that fit into the workflow?
Yeah, that's a killer feature. You can upload images to clarify requirements. Imagine sketching a UI element and having Tray generate the corresponding code. It's a huge leap towards more intuitive development. It's truly game-changing.
That's amazing. But how does Tray handle context? I mean, understanding the entire codebase is a huge challenge for AI tools.
That's where Tray's deep analysis comes in. It analyzes your entire codebase, pulling insights from your editor and terminal to understand your workflow. This context awareness leads to more precise code generation and tailored modifications. It's not just about spitting out code, it's about understanding the why behind your code.
I see. So it's not just about speed, but also about understanding and context. But what about the user testimonials? Are they genuine? I mean, some of them sound almost too good to be true.
That's a valid point. While we can't independently verify each testimonial, the sheer number and diversity of positive feedback is striking. Many users highlight Tray's speed, ease of use, and ability to handle various programming languages and frameworks. Some even mention using it to create entire games, despite having no prior coding experience.
Wow, that's quite a claim. So what are the potential downsides? Are there any limitations? Perhaps it's heavily reliant on a good internet connection, like some users mentioned?
You're right to point that out. Several users did mention that performance is heavily dependent on a stable internet connection. This is a common limitation with cloud-based AI tools, and it's something to keep in mind. But overall, the overwhelmingly positive feedback suggests that Tray is a significant advancement in AI-assisted coding.
It certainly sounds like a powerful tool, especially for beginners. The ability to translate code and generate code from images is particularly impressive. It seems like Tray is aiming to democratize coding, making it more accessible to a wider audience.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so exciting. Tray isn't just about boosting productivity for experienced developers. It's about empowering newcomers and making the entire coding process more intuitive and enjoyable. It's a truly revolutionary tool, and I'm eager to see how it evolves.
Me too. Thanks for breaking down Tray for us. It's definitely a tool worth keeping an eye on.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We'll catch you next time with more exciting tech updates. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into the foundations of large language models, a fascinating new book. It's really exciting stuff.
Absolutely. I saw this pop up on Arxiv. A book focusing on the fundamentals, not just the latest bells and whistles. That's a refreshing approach, isn't it? Intriguing.
Totally. The authors, Tong Xiao and Jingbo Zhu, smartly structured it into 4 key chapters. First, they tackle pre-training, the crucial initial phase, getting the model ready to learn.
Right, the groundwork. And then, what comes after the pre-training phase?
Then, bam! They dive into generative models, the heart of how these LLMs actually create text. It's all about probability distributions and clever algorithms, Amazing stuff.
I see. So they cover the core mechanics. But what about practical application? How do we actually use these models effectively?
That's where chapters 3 and 4 come in. Chapter 3 is all about prompting techniques, getting the most out of the model with the right questions and instructions. It's a bit of an art, but also a science, I think.
Interesting. So it's not just about building the model, but also about effectively interacting with it. And the final chapter?
Chapter 4 focuses on alignment methods, making sure the model's outputs align with our intentions and values. This is crucial, right? We don't want our LLMs going rogue. It's a big deal.
Absolutely. That's a critical point, often overlooked. Ensuring ethical and responsible use is paramount. I'm curious, though, do they delve into specific model architectures? Like transformers or something?
Well, the book focuses on foundational concepts. So, while they might mention specific architectures, it's not the main focus. It's more about the underlying principles that apply across different models. It's a great starting point for anyone wanting a solid understanding of the field.
That makes sense. A strong foundation is key before diving into the complexities of specific architectures. It's targeted at students, professionals, and practitioners, right?
Exactly. It's designed to be accessible to a wide audience. A great reference for anyone interested in LLMs, regardless of their background. A really well-written book?
So overall, a solid recommendation for anyone looking to build a strong understanding of large language models. Thanks for the summary.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into DeepSeek's groundbreaking V3 model and the unexpected consequences of GPU export controls. It's a fascinating story.
Absolutely. I'm buzzing to discuss this. So DeepSeek, a relatively unknown player, just blew everyone away, right?
Exactly. They trained a 671B parameter model comparable to GPT-4 and Claude using a mere 2048 H800 GPUs. That's a tiny fraction of what the big players use. Think 2048 versus 20,000 plus.
Mind-blowing. And the cost difference is even more dramatic. $5.5 million versus a reported $40 million for GPT-4. That's an order of magnitude difference.
Precisely. And it's not just about the money. The export controls restricting high-end GPU sales to China forced DeepSeek to use the less powerful H800s, essentially handicapped H100s. But this constraint unexpectedly became a catalyst for innovation.
So necessity became the mother of invention? They were forced to optimize, not scale?
Exactly. They focused on architectural efficiency, FP8 precision training, infrastructure algorithm optimization, and novel training frameworks. Instead of throwing more hardware at the problem, they made their hardware work smarter. It's a compelling argument for focusing on efficiency.
It's almost counterintuitive. The limitations spurred innovation. But let's not forget the context. DeepSeek isn't your average startup. They're backed by Highflyer, a massive quant fund. That makes a difference, right?
Absolutely. Their CEO's vision is long-term, focused on AGI, not quick profits. He explicitly stated that for applications, using existing structures like Llama is fine, but for AGI, they need to explore new model architectures. This long-term vision is crucial to understanding their approach.
So, it's not a magic bullet then? We shouldn't overstate their achievement?
Right. It's not about declaring export controls a failure or finding a magic formula. It's about highlighting that the path to better AI isn't solely about scaling. There's massive potential for fundamental improvements in how we train these models. This is incredibly exciting for developers, suggesting you don't need a hyperscaler's budget to contribute meaningfully.
It's a game changer for the field. It opens up possibilities for smaller teams and researchers. What's next for DeepSeek?
They're working on breaking through the architectural limitations of transformers. Given their track record, that's something to watch closely. This is a significant shift in the paradigm. The focus is shifting from brute force to elegant solutions. It's a really exciting time for AFA research.
Indeed. This is a fantastic example of how constraints can drive innovation. Thanks for breaking this down for us.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating personal account of battling doom scrolling. It's a struggle many of us face, right? So relatable.
Absolutely. The author's approach is intriguing. They didn't just try to moderate their usage, they went for a full-on digital detox, right? Deleting apps, disabling browsers, the whole shebang.
Precisely. The core issue, as they highlight, is the hyperconnectivity of our digital lives. Everything's at our fingertips. Work, social media, entertainment, all vying for our attention. It's a constant battle against procrastination, and the author admits to being particularly susceptible.
I see. So, the initial solution was drastic. Deleting content apps like Instagram, YouTube, even Goodreads, and IMDb. That's a big step. They also removed the browser from their phone, which seems extreme but effective.
Yeah, it was extreme. But that's where things got interesting. Removing the browser on their phone created unexpected problems. They lost access to certain app functionalities, web apps proved superior to native apps in some cases, and even simple banking tasks became more cumbersome. A real-world consequence of their digital minimalism.
Right, a classic case of unintended consequences. So, the complete browser removal wasn't sustainable?
Not entirely. They found it hampered daily tasks. However, removing personal accounts from their work laptop was a success. Setting boundaries between work and personal life is key, and that worked well for them.
Interesting. So what was the ultimate solution? A complete reversal?
Not quite. They kept the browser on their phone, but implemented restrictions, a minimal launch UI, a website blocker based on location, and switching to a new browser to break old habits. Clever!
That's a much more nuanced approach. It's about finding a balance, not complete abstinence. The author mentions using a game, Spelling Bee, as a healthier alternative to endless scrolling. A finite game with a clear endpoint.
Exactly. It's about finding sustainable habits, not just temporary fixes. The author's journey highlights the importance of experimentation and adaptation. What works for one person might not work for another. It's all about finding your own balance. It's a process.
Absolutely. And the results? Did they conquer doom scrolling?
Not completely. They still procrastinate. But their devices are no longer the primary lure. They have more control, more time for reading, and feel saner overall. A significant improvement.
A powerful testament to the importance of mindful digital consumption. Thanks for sharing this insightful article.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion as engaging as we did. Have a great day, and remember to be mindful of your digital habits. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a truly remarkable project, a DIY home computer, the Minimal 64x4, boasting 4 times the processing power of a classic Commodore 64 or Apple II. It's incredible.
4 times the power? That's seriously impressive. What's the secret sauce? Is it some cutting-edge silicon?
Not exactly cutting edge, in the modern sense. The magic lies in its minimalist design. It uses only 6174 HCXX logic ICs, 26C1008 SRAM chips, and 439 SF0x0 flash chips. No microcontroller. Completely built from discrete logic.
Wow, that's old school. I mean, that's a throwback to the very basics of computing. Amazing! What kind of specs are we talking about?
It's an 8-bit system with a 16-bit address bus, 64 kilobytes of RAM, and a 512 kilobytes FLASH SSD with a full file system. It even has monochrome VGA output at 400 by 240 pixels, PS2 support, an expansion slot, and a serial UART port. And the clock speed? 8 megahertz.
8 megahertz. That's surprisingly fast for a design like this. What about the instruction set? Is it limited?
Not at all. It has 256 instructions, including conditional branching, subroutines, stack operations, and more. It even has a full native toolchain, an operating system called Minos, a text editor, an assembler, and a surprisingly fast Python-like interpreter called Min.
A Python-like interpreter? That's unexpected. So it's not just a retro curiosity, it's actually quite capable. Are there any games or demos available?
Absolutely. There's a Tetris clone and a Space Invaders clone, and there's even a CycleExact emulator available online. Plus, there's a reference manual and an introductory video on YouTube. It's all open source too.
This is incredible. It's a testament to the ingenuity of the creator, Slew4Coder. I'm curious though, how does the 4x processing power of a C64 claim hold up? Is that a fair comparison?
That's a good question. It's a bit of a simplification, The clock speed is a major factor, but the architecture and instruction set also play a role. While the claim might be a bit of an oversimplification, the Minimal 64x4 is demonstrably more powerful than a C64 in many tasks. The comparison is more about highlighting the impressive performance relative to its vintage counterparts.
I see. So it's a bold claim, but not necessarily inaccurate. This project is a fantastic blend of retro aesthetics and modern capabilities. It's a great example of what's possible with a deep understanding of computer architecture. Truly inspiring.
Exactly. It's a beautiful demonstration of how much can be achieved with a focused, minimalist approach. And the community around it is quite active, with several contributors already. It's a project that deserves all the attention it's getting. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the minimal 64x4. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a huge victory for digital rights. A federal court ruling against backdoor searches of Section 702 data. It's a landmark decision.
Absolutely. I've been following this case for years. So, what exactly did the court rule?
In short, the court ruled that backdoor searches of Section 702 data, that's data collected under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, generally require a warrant. This is a massive win for privacy.
A warrant requirement? That seems obvious, but it's taken a long time to get here, right? The government has been doing this for years, hasn't it?
Exactly. This has been a decade-long battle. The government argued that since the data was already collected, searching it didn't require a separate warrant. They essentially had a finders keepers approach to our communications data.
Outrageous! So what was the specific case that led to this ruling?
The case was United States versus Hasbajrami. A U.S. resident was charged with supporting terrorism, and the evidence included emails collected under Section 702, then searched without a warrant. The court found that even if the initial collection was legal, the subsequent search violated the Fourth Amendment.
I see. So the court didn't challenge the legality of the initial data collection itself, just the subsequent searches? That's a nuanced point.
Precisely. The court acknowledged the complexities of Section 702, but drew a clear line on the warrant requirement for searches targeting U.S. persons. It's a significant limitation on government overreach.
And the sheer scale of these warrantless searches is staggering, isn't it? Millions of searches annually, according to the EFF. That's alarming.
Absolutely alarming. The ruling highlights the government's liberal use of Section 702, and the court explicitly rejected the government's foreign intelligence exception argument. They found the intrusion on privacy too significant.
So what's next? What impact will this have? What are the implications?
Well, the EFF is calling on Congress to refuse to renew Section 702 without significant reforms, including a mandatory warrant requirement for searches of U.S. person data. This is crucial, as Section 702 is set to expire in 2026.
And the FISC, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, should also act, right? They should update their rules to reflect this ruling. It's about time.
Absolutely. The FISC has a responsibility to ensure compliance with the Fourth Amendment. This ruling is a clear mandate for change. This is a huge step forward for privacy rights. But the fight isn't over yet. We need to keep pushing for transparency and accountability.
Couldn't agree more. This is a victory worth celebrating, but it underscores the ongoing need for vigilance in protecting our digital rights. Thanks for breaking this down for us.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We'll keep you updated on further developments in this important case. Have a great day, and remember to stay informed. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of cab numbers, a mathematical puzzle explored by Shyam Sundar Gupta. It's all about finding numbers whose digits, when factored, reappear in the product. Intriguing, right?
Absolutely. So what's the core idea behind a cab number?
A cab number is a number composed of unique digits, excluding 0, that can be expressed as a product of two factors. The crucial part, those two factors, when combined, use the exact same digits as the original cab number. For example, 67,392 is a cab number because 72 multiplied by 936 equals 67,392. See? All the digits match up.
That's elegant. But how do you actually find these numbers? Is it trial and error, or is there a more systematic approach?
Oh, it's definitely not trial and error for larger numbers. Gupta used a clever Fortran program to find them. He leveraged some key properties. For instance, the digital root, The iterative sum of digits until a single digit remains plays a crucial role. The digital root of the product must equal the sum of the digital roots of the factors. It's a powerful constraint.
I see. So the digital root acts as a filter, significantly reducing the search space. That's smart. What other properties did he use?
He also used the minimum and maximum possible sums of the digits in an n-digit cab number. This further narrows down the possibilities. For example, a 6-digit cab number's digit sum must fall within a specific range, and its digital root must be either 4 or 9. This drastically cuts down the computational load.
Amazing! So the article provides lists of cab numbers for different digit lengths? How many solutions are we talking about?
Yes, the article lists solutions for 3 to 9 digits. The number of solutions explodes as the number of digits increases. We're talking about just 2 solutions for 3-digit cab numbers, but a whopping 1625 solutions for 9-digit cab numbers. And that's just for 2 factors. The article also explores solutions with more than 2 factors, which further expands the possibilities.
Wow, that's a significant jump. So what about cab numbers with 10 digits? Does the inclusion of 0 change things drastically?
It does. Allowing 0 introduces a whole new set of solutions. Gupta's program found over 4,000 solutions, with 0 in an internal position, adding to the already impressive number of solutions without 0. It's a testament to the richness of this seemingly simple puzzle.
This is truly fascinating. It highlights how seemingly simple mathematical problems can lead to surprisingly complex and computationally intensive explorations. It's a great example of how computational power can unlock solutions to problems that would be intractable by hand.
Exactly. And the exploration doesn't stop there. The article even mentions further investigations into cab numbers, with more than 2 factors, opening up even more avenues for research. It's a testament to the enduring appeal of mathematical puzzles and the power of computational methods in solving them. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of cab numbers. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving deep into a fascinating piece. File systems, the original hypermedia. It's a provocative argument, isn't it? Intriguing.
Absolutely. The core idea that file systems predate the web as a form of hypermedia is quite a bold claim. I'm eager to hear how this is supported.
Right. The author argues that HTML, influenced heavily by print media, missed a crucial opportunity. Think about it. HTML's emphasis on layout and formatting, driven by SGML's print heritage, created a messy, inconsistent hypermedia experience.
So instead of focusing on the semantic structure of information, like a file system does, HTML got bogged down in aesthetics?
Precisely. The author points out how seemingly simple HTML tags, like heading levels, H1 to H6, and A, reflect print conventions. These seemingly innocent choices paved the way for the complexities of CSS and the constant revisions of HTML itself.
I see. It's almost like a case of technological determinism, where the design choices of the past constrained the future.
Exactly. The author contrasts this with other media like photography or film. A photograph is inherently a rectangular array of pixels. Its medium is stable. But web hypermedia, as we know it, is constantly evolving, reinventing itself with each new technology.
But isn't that a strength? The adaptability of the web is what makes it so powerful, right?
That's a great point. The author acknowledges the versatility of the web, but argues that this constant evolution comes at a cost. It creates barriers to accessibility and makes independent content creation incredibly complex. It's a double-edged sword.
So, the author proposes file systems as a better model? How does that work?
The author suggests that file systems, with their inherent hierarchical structure and multimedia capabilities, already embody the core principles of hypermedia as defined by Theodore Nelson back in 1965. Directories are the multidimensional aspect, files are the multimedia.
Interesting. But file systems aren't exactly user-friendly for browsing complex information, are they?
That's where the author introduces a crucial point. They argue that a simple enhancement, the ability to inline render files within the File Explorer, along with a clear ordering system, would transform the file system into a powerful, intuitive hypermedia platform.
Ah, I get it. So instead of needing separate browsers and applications for different media types, everything would be integrated.
Exactly. This enhanced file system would be inherently universal, focusing on the semantic structure of information rather than its aesthetic presentation. It's a compelling vision.
But wouldn't that eliminate the creative freedom that HTML provides? The ability to design visually stunning websites?
The author argues that creative expression would still be possible, but it wouldn't dictate the underlying structure of the hypermedia. The focus would shift from stylistic concerns to the organization and accessibility of information. It's a shift from form to function.
It's a radical idea, but it makes you think, doesn't it? The author also touches on the digital dark age and the fragility of dynamic web content.
Absolutely. The reliance on constantly updating external systems makes web content incredibly vulnerable to obsolescence. The author argues that this inherent dynamism undermines the longevity of online information. A sobering thought.
And the author's discussion of hierarchies is fascinating too. They challenge the common notion that hierarchies are inadequate for representing complex information.
Yes. The author points out that while Tim Berners-Lee dismissed hierarchical systems in his early work, the web itself is fundamentally built upon them. It's a complex interplay of hierarchical and non-linear structures.
It's a really thought-provoking piece. It challenges our assumptions about the web and its evolution.
Indeed. It's a great example of how seemingly simple design choices can have profound and lasting consequences. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of hypermedia. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of DIY audio engineering, specifically a homemade ribbon microphone. It's a wild ride.
A homemade ribbon microphone? That sounds incredibly complex. I'm intrigued. What's the story behind this project?
Well, it all started with a broken modmomic, apparently. The author, in a moment of frustration, decided to build a ribbon microphone as a replacement. Talk about thinking outside the box.
So, a ribbon microphone. Can you explain the basic principle? I'm not an expert in audio engineering.
Sure. It's surprisingly simple in concept. A thin, corrugated aluminum ribbon is suspended between two powerful magnets, sound waves, cause the ribbon to vibrate, moving it through the magnetic field. This movement generates a tiny electrical signal, which is then amplified. It's pure physics in action.
Amazing! But the article mentions several challenges. What were the biggest hurdles in building this thing?
Oh, there were many. The signal from the ribbon is incredibly weak, easily overwhelmed by noise. The ribbon itself is incredibly delicate. We're talking micrometers thick, and the low resistance of the ribbon makes it sensitive to any stray resistance in the mounting. It's a delicate dance of precision.
Yikes. So what material did they use for the ribbon? I'm guessing not standard aluminum foil.
You're right. They used imitation silver leaf, also known as signwriter's leaf. It's about 0.5 micrometers thick, much thinner than what's typically used in commercial ribbon mics. Finding the right material was quite the adventure.
0.5 micrometers? That's incredibly thin. How did they even handle that without destroying it?
That's where the ingenuity comes in. They used a clever sandwich method to corrugate the leaf without directly touching it. They sandwiched the leaf between sheets of paper, then ran it through 3 D- printed gears. Ingenious!
That's brilliant. And what about the magnets and the mounting?
Strong neodymium magnets were used, and the mounting was designed to minimize stray resistance, which is crucial for a good signal. The author used a clever single screw clamp with copper tape for electrical contact. It's all about minimizing impedance.
I see. And the amplification? How did they boost that tiny signal?
They used a Lundahl LL2913 transformer and a differential amplifier stage with a capacitance multiplier. A bit of electrical wizardry there. The whole thing has a voltage gain of around 65 decibels.
Impressive. So, did it actually work?
Yes. The author reports that it worked surprisingly well, with people commenting that it sounded like they were in the same room, a testament to the power of DIY. There's even a recording of a poem online if you want to hear it.
That's fantastic. This whole project is a testament to perseverance and ingenuity. I'm amazed by the level of detail and the problem solving involved.
Absolutely. It's a great example of how even seemingly impossible projects can be tackled with creativity and a little bit of know-how. And now, for our listeners, a big thank you for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of homemade ribbon microphones. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a significant shift in the cloud computing landscape. Microsoft's loss of exclusive cloud provider status for OpenAI. It's a big deal.
Absolutely. This is a surprising development, especially considering Microsoft's massive investment in OpenAI. What's the core reason behind this change?
Well, it's all tied up with the newly announced Stargate project, a massive $100 billion, potentially up to $500 billion, joint venture between OpenAI, Oracle, SoftBank, and spearheaded by President Trump. This project focuses on building out AI infrastructure in the U.S. It's a huge undertaking.
Wow, a $500 billion potential investment? That's insane. So how does this impact Microsoft's relationship with OpenAI?
Microsoft is no longer the exclusive provider. They still have a strong position, though. They get right of first refusal on any future computing capacity needs from OpenAI. Think of it as a preferential option, not a guaranteed deal.
Right of first refusal. So OpenAI can still go to other cloud providers like Oracle, which is now a key technology partner in the Stargate project, along with ARM and NVIDIA, right? It's a fennec. That's a significant shift in power dynamics.
Exactly. This opens the door for more competition, which could be beneficial for OpenAI in terms of pricing and potentially even technological innovation. But it also signals a potential weakening of Microsoft's grip on OpenAI's infrastructure.
I see. It's interesting that this announcement came alongside the Stargate project. Is there a direct connection beyond the shared involvement of OpenAI?
Absolutely. The Stargate project's massive scale requires a diverse and robust cloud infrastructure. It's unlikely that one company could handle the entire load. This move by OpenAI might be a strategic decision to diversify their cloud resources and ensure the project's success.
That makes sense. But doesn't this create some potential conflict of interest for Microsoft, considering their significant investment and existing intellectual property rights with OpenAI?
You're right to point that out. There's definitely a potential for conflict. Microsoft has already publicly named OpenAI as a competitor in the AEI and search space. This new arrangement only adds another layer of complexity to their relationship. Nadella's comments on a recent podcast highlight the delicate balancing act they're trying to manage.
Yes, Nadella's comments about accommodating Altman's ambitions while maintaining Microsoft's own discipline were telling. It sounds like a tense partnership, even if it's still lucrative for Microsoft. The stock market seems to agree, at least for Oracle.
Indeed. Oracle's stock jumped 7% on the news, reflecting the market's perception of this as a significant opportunity for them. It's a fascinating case study in the evolving dynamics of the tech industry and the massive potential of AI.
Absolutely. It's a game changer. This move by OpenAI could reshape the entire cloud computing landscape for AI development. Thanks for breaking it down for us.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into StratoShark, a powerful new tool for cloud application analysis. It's seriously cool.
I've heard whispers. What makes StratoShark so special? Is it just another system monitoring tool?
Oh, it's much more than that. Think of it as Wireshark for your system calls. It lets you analyze application behavior at the most granular level, giving you unprecedented insight into what's really happening in your cloud environment. System call level. That's the key.
System call level? Could you elaborate on that? I'm not sure I fully grasp the significance.
Sure. Instead of just looking at high-level metrics, StratoShark lets you see every single system call an application makes. This means you can pinpoint exactly where bottlenecks are, identify security vulnerabilities, and even debug complex issues with incredible precision. It's like having X-ray vision for your applications.
Wow, that's incredibly detailed. So how does it compare to other tools like Falco or Sysdig CLI?
Excellent question. StratoShark actually uses the same file format as Falco and Sysdig CLI, allowing for seamless integration and data sharing between these tools. It's like a unified ecosystem for cloud security and troubleshooting. Plus, it's open source, just like Wireshark and Falco, which is a huge plus for transparency and community involvement.
That's a really smart design choice. So it's essentially a more detailed, granular view of what's happening within the system, right? But how user-friendly is it? I mean, system calls are pretty low-level stuff.
That's where the Wireshark connection comes in. If you're familiar with Wireshark, you'll feel right at home with StratoShark. It uses a very similar interface, making it surprisingly intuitive, even for complex analyses. The same dissection and filtering engine is used, so the learning curve is significantly reduced.
I see. Interesting. So where can people get their hands on this amazing tool? And are there any resources for learning how to use it?
Absolutely. They can download it from the StratoShark website. They have versions for Windows, both x64 and ARM64, macOS, Intel, and ARM, and even the source code is available on GitLab. There's also a quick start guide, a wiki page, and several blog posts and videos available online to help users get started. There's even a dedicated channel on the Wireshark Discord server for support.
That's fantastic. It sounds like StratoShark is a game changer for cloud application analysis. The open source aspect, the Wireshark integration, and the detailed system call level analysis, it all adds up to a very compelling tool.
Precisely. It's a powerful tool that empowers developers and security professionals to understand their cloud environments better than ever before. And remember, it's all about that system call level detail. That's where the magic happens. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into StratoShark. Have a great day and happy troubleshooting.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into Google's exciting new partnership with HTC to boost the Android XR platform. It's a big deal, folks.
Absolutely. A major move for the XR space. So what's the core of this agreement? Is Google acquiring HTC outright, or is it something more nuanced?
It's not a full acquisition. Instead, Google's bringing on board a significant portion of HTC VIVE's engineering team. Think of it as a targeted talent acquisition, focusing on their expertise in VR. They've got a stellar track record, you know?
I see. Interesting. So this isn't just about grabbing some engineers. It's about leveraging HTC's VR know-how to accelerate Android XR development. That's smart. But what specific areas will this collaboration impact?
Precisely. This will significantly speed up development across the entire XR ecosystem, headsets and glasses. It's a huge leap forward for Android in the XR market. They've been investing in XR for over a decade, and this partnership is a key part of their strategy.
Right. And the timing is interesting considering Google just launched the Android XR platform last month. This seems like a strategic move to solidify their position early on. But doesn't this raise concerns about competition and market dominance?
That's a valid point. It's definitely a move that will increase Google's influence in the XR market. However, Google has been emphasizing collaboration with industry partners from the start, so it's not entirely a surprise. It's a complex situation, but the potential benefits for Android XR are substantial.
True. The potential for innovation is huge. This could lead to better VR and AR experiences on Android devices. Faster development cycles, more optimized software, maybe even new hardware innovations down the line. It's exciting to think about.
Exactly. And remember, this is subject to closing conditions, but if it goes through, it's a game changer. We're talking about a significant boost to the Android XR platform, making it a more compelling option for developers and consumers alike. It's a really smart move by Google.
It certainly seems that way. This partnership could really shake things up in the XR world. It'll be interesting to see how other companies respond and what innovations emerge as a result. Thanks for breaking this down for us.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time with more exciting tech updates. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a truly massive development in the AI world, a $500 billion investment, spearheaded by none other than President Trump. It's a game changer.
Whoa, $500 billion? That's, a lot of money. Who's involved, and what's the plan exactly? I'm buzzing with excitement already.
The big players are OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank, forming a new entity called Stargate. They're planning a massive infrastructure build-out, primarily in Texas, focusing on data centers and the power generation to support them. Think gigantic data centers, the kind that could power the next generation of AI. The initial investment is pegged at $100 billion, with the potential to reach $500 billion.
5 times the initial investment? That's ambitious, to say the least. And Trump's role? Is he just lending his name, or is he actively involved in the project's direction?
Well, he's certainly taking credit for it, calling it a resounding declaration of confidence in America's potential. The article mentions that the project's initial planning actually started under the Biden administration, but Trump's repeal of Biden's AI guardrails certainly cleared the path for this kind of rapid expansion. It's a complex situation, you know?
I see. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. A massive investment in AI infrastructure, but also a potential for deregulation that could lead to unforeseen consequences. What about the specific applications? What are they hoping to achieve with this massive undertaking?
That's a great point. Besides the obvious goal of boosting AI development, Ellison from Oracle hinted at applications in digital health records. He suggested it could revolutionize disease treatment, potentially leading to personalized vaccines for things like cancer. That's a pretty bold claim.
Wow, personalized cancer vaccines. That's a huge potential benefit if it works out. But it also raises ethical questions, doesn't it? The potential for misuse of such powerful technology is immense. And what about job displacement? This kind of automation could have serious social consequences.
Absolutely. That's a valid concern. The article does mention the risk of job displacement if the AI revolution isn't managed carefully. It's a double-edged sword, really. Massive potential for progress, but also significant risks that need to be addressed. And the fact that Trump overturned Biden's safety regulations adds another layer of complexity.
Right. It seems like a rush to embrace the technology without fully considering the potential downsides. It's almost like a technological gold rush, with little thought given to the environmental impact or the social consequences. It's exciting, but also a little unnerving.
Exactly. The sheer scale of the investment is breathtaking, but the lack of regulatory oversight is concerning. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out, but one thing's for sure. This is a story we'll be following closely. This is a huge step forward for AI, but it's also a huge gamble.
Definitely. A $500 billion gamble. Thanks for breaking this down for us. It's been a fascinating discussion.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating tool. WordPress 2, Hugo, to the service. It's a service that automates the often tedious process of migrating a WordPress site to the static site generator Hugo. Think of it as a streamlined, automated move, saving you countless hours of manual work. Pretty cool, right?
Absolutely. I've heard of Hugo, but the migration process always seemed daunting. So how exactly does WordPress 2 Hugos work? Is it a complex process?
Not at all. It's surprisingly straightforward. First, you export your WordPress content. A simple process involving selecting tools, then export in your WordPress dashboard, then downloading the XML file. It's all very intuitive, even for beginners.
I see. And then, is there any coding involved?
Nope, zero coding. You just upload that exported file to the WordPress 2 Hugo website. They handle the conversion. It's as simple as drag and drop or using a file browser. Then, you click a button, and they do the magic. Boom! Your site is converted in minutes.
That's incredibly efficient. But what about pricing? Is this a premium service?
It's a freemium model. They offer a free tier for smaller sites, up to 3 pages and 5 blog posts. Perfect for testing the waters and seeing how well it works. If you have a larger site, a one-time payment of $149 converts everything.
A one-time fee for a complete conversion? That seems very reasonable, especially considering the time saved. But what about data loss? Is there any risk involved?
That's a valid concern. While they don't explicitly guarantee zero data loss, their process seems robust. The free tier lets you test it on a small portion of your site first, minimizing risk. Plus, the whole process is transparent. You're not handing over your data to some mysterious black box.
Good point. So essentially, it's a risk-mitigated approach. The free option allows users to assess the service's capabilities before committing to the paid version. Smart strategy.
Exactly. And if you run into any issues, they have a contact email address. It's a pretty user-friendly service. Overall, a great solution for anyone looking to switch from WordPress to Hugo without the headache.
Definitely worth checking out for anyone considering a migration. Thanks for breaking it down for us.
My pleasure. And remember, listeners, check out WordPress 2 Hugo at the link in the show notes. That's all for today's Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into Bun 1.2, a massive update to the Bun JavaScript runtime. Get ready, because this is a big one.
I'm buzzing. What are the headline features? I'm particularly interested in performance improvements.
Absolutely. The biggest news is the huge leap forward in Node.js compatibility. They're now running the Node.js test suite with every change, fixing thousands of bugs. Plus, Express is now 3x faster in Bun.
Wow, 3x faster? That's incredible. What's the secret sauce?
A lot of it comes down to improved compatibility with Node, HTTP, and optimizations to Bun's HTTP server itself. It's not just about compatibility. It's about leveraging that compatibility for performance gains.
Makes sense. So beyond Express, what other Node.js modules are seeing significant improvements?
They've added support for Node HTTP 2, which is now 2x faster than in Node.js. Also, Node zlib got a complete rewrite in native code, resulting in a 2x speed boost. And they've added support for Node Diagram, Node Cluster, and even C++ add-ons using V8 APIs. A monumental undertaking.
Hold on, V8 APIs? Bun uses JavaScript core, not V8. How did they manage that?
That's the truly impressive part. They implemented V8's public C++ API in JavaScript core. They even wrote a 3-part blog series detailing this incredibly complex feat. It's not 100% complete yet, but it's a massive step towards broader compatibility.
That's mind-blowing. So what about database support? I heard something about built-in S3 and Postgres clients.
You're spot on. Bun 1.2 introduces Bun.S3 for S3 object storage and Bun.SQL for Postgres, with MySQL support coming soon. Both are incredibly fast. The S3 client is 5x faster than using an AWS-SDK/client-3 with Node.js, and Bun.SQL is up to 50% faster than other popular Postgres clients.
5 times faster for S3? 50% faster for Postgres? This is game-changing for cloud-native development. And what about the package manager itself?
Bun install now uses a text-based lock file, bun.lock, instead of the binary bun.lockb. This makes it much easier to review changes in Git, resolve, merge conflicts, and integrate with tools like Dependabot. And despite the switch to text, Bun install is now 30% faster.
That's amazing. They managed to improve speed and usability. What other improvements are there?
Oh, there's a ton more. They've added JSONC support to package.json, npmrc support, Bun run, filter for running scripts in multiple workspaces, Bun outdated, and Bun update for managing dependencies, and even Bun patch for easily patching dependencies without forking.
This is incredible. It sounds like they've addressed almost every pain point I've ever had with JavaScript tooling. What about the bundler?
The bundler got a huge boost too. They added support for HTML imports, making it possible to replace your entire front-end toolchain with a single import statement. They also added cross-compilation for standalone executables, bytecode caching for faster startup times, and a built-in CSS parser derived from Lightning CSS, rewritten in Zig for optimal performance.
A built-in CSS parser? That's a game-changer for full-stack development in Bun. Are there any other significant API additions?
Yes, they've added Bun UDP socket for UDP sockets, expanded Bun.file with delete, stat, And S3 support introduced bun.color for color manipulation, DNS prefetch for DNS prefetching, and several helpful utilities like bun.inspectTable and bun.random UUIDv7.
This is absolutely phenomenal. It seems like they've really thought of everything. What about the SQLite client?
The built-in SQLite client also received some love. They added ORM-less object mapping with query.as class, iterable queries with query.iterate, strict query parameters, tracking changed rows, big int support, and improved resource management with the using statement.
And they've even added experimental support for compiling and running C code directly from JavaScript using Bun. FFI. That's incredibly powerful for performance-critical sections.
Precisely. It bypasses the need for Node.js, simplifying the process significantly. Plus, they've added support for Muzzle libc on Alpine Linux, improved numerous web APIs, and incorporated several new JavaScript features like import attributes, promise.withresolvers, troker, promise.try, and error.iserror.
This is an absolute tour de force of engineering and design. Bun 1.2 is a truly remarkable release. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
My pleasure. And remember, Bun is free, open source, and MIT licensed. A huge thank you to all the contributors who made this possible. And that's all the time we have for today. Join us next time for more exciting news in the world of technology. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating discovery from the world of archaeology. Roman-era curse tablets unearthed in France. Intriguing, right?
Absolutely. Curse tablets? That sounds like something straight out of a fantasy novel. What makes this find so special?
Well, it's not just one tablet. It's over 20. They were discovered in a Roman-era cemetery in Orléans, France. A remarkably well-preserved site with over 60 burials, all men, arranged in a single row. Unusual, wouldn't you say?
Very unusual. All men? No women or children? That certainly suggests a specific group, perhaps a military unit or something similar. What about the tablets themselves?
That's where it gets even more interesting. These aren't just any old tablets. They're defixions, small lead plates inscribed with curses. Think of them as ancient, highly personalized, bad luck charms.
So they were essentially used to hex someone? How did they work?
Exactly. The inscriptions, written in both Latin and Gaulish, an extinct Celtic language, were meant to invoke the wrath of the gods, specifically Mars, the god of war. They'd write the curse, pierce the tablet with a nail, and bury it, often in a grave. Pretty intense stuff.
Incredible! The use of both Latin and Gaulish is a significant detail, isn't it? It speaks to the cultural blending of the time. Did they manage to translate all the curses?
Not completely yet. One tablet, found with a skeleton, had a particularly detailed curse directed at several individuals for their unjust actions. Researchers are still working on deciphering the others. But even the partially translated ones are providing valuable insights into the language and beliefs of the time.
I see. This is a huge contribution to our understanding of Gaulish, a language we know very little about. It's amazing how much we can learn from these seemingly simple lead plates. It's like a window into the past.
Precisely, and the fact that they used X-ray tomography on one of the tablets to examine its interior without unrolling it shows how advanced techniques are being used to preserve and study these artifacts. It's a testament to modern archaeological practices.
It's fascinating how these ancient practices intersect with modern technology. It really highlights the ongoing evolution of archaeological research. This discovery is a significant contribution to our understanding of Roman-era Gaul.
Absolutely. The ongoing analysis of these tablets promises to reveal even more about the lives, beliefs, and conflicts of the people who lived in Roman Gaul. It's a truly remarkable find. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into Jenny Batt's insightful piece, But Let Us Cultivate Our Garden, a compelling reflection on gardening, literature, and life's journey. It's a fascinating blend of personal narrative and literary analysis, isn't it? Exciting stuff.
Absolutely. The article cleverly intertwines Bohot's personal experience with Voltaire's Candide and other literary works. It's a multi-layered exploration of themes like personal growth, resilience, and the search for meaning, all framed by the metaphor of the garden. I found the connection between the physical act of gardening and the metaphorical cultivation of one's life particularly striking.
Precisely. Bot starts with her own experience creating a garden in England, a seemingly simple act that becomes a powerful symbol of self-discovery. The initial awkwardness, the gradual mastery, the sense of purpose it brought, it's all so relatable. It's not just about growing plants, it's about growing oneself.
And the contrast with her later professional life is interesting. While her career flourished, it lacked the inherent satisfaction and effortless magic of that first garden. It highlights the importance of finding that balance, that sense of purpose, beyond purely professional achievements. It made me think about my own life and how I balance different aspects.
I see. Interesting. That's a key takeaway, I think. The article then beautifully connects this personal narrative to Voltaire's cultivate your garden philosophy. It's not just a passive retreat, as some interpretations suggest, but an active engagement with life, a focused effort on what's within our control.
Exactly. Bohot skillfully uses Gopnik's analysis of Voltaire's garden to expand on this idea. The garden becomes a symbol of personal responsibility and local action, a space where we build our own happiness and meaning. It's a powerful counterpoint to the pervasive optimism of Pangloss and Candide.
I think that's where the article gets really thought-provoking. It challenges the notion of passive optimism, suggesting that true fulfillment comes from active engagement, even amidst chaos. It's a relevant message in our current hyper-connected world, where we're constantly bombarded with information and external pressures.
Absolutely. The windows wide and doors open ideal of Voltaire's garden, as Gopnik describes it, feels almost ironic in today's context. The constant influx of information and the lack of boundaries make cultivating that personal space much harder. It's a challenge to find that quiet space for introspection and growth.
Right. And Bratt masterfully uses Ackerman's and Sarton's perspectives on gardening to further enrich this theme. Ackerman's description of gardening as a ritual, a way to create order from chaos, resonates deeply. Sarton's emphasis on patience and the acceptance of loss adds another layer of complexity. It's a holistic view of life, isn't it?
It is. And the inclusion of Woolf's perspective, with her use of gardens as metaphors in her fiction, adds another dimension. It shows how this theme has resonated across different literary works and time periods. It's a timeless concept.
Got it. The article concludes with Bott's own journey of cultivating her literary garden, mirroring the themes explored earlier. It's a powerful personal reflection, showing how the lessons learned from that first physical garden continue to shape her life and work. The reference to Andy Weir's The Martian is a clever touch, highlighting the resilience and ingenuity required to cultivate something meaningful, even in challenging circumstances.
It's a beautiful and inspiring conclusion. The article leaves you with a sense of hope and the understanding that cultivating our own gardens, whatever form they may take, is a continuous process, a journey of growth, resilience, and self-discovery. It's a truly thought-provoking piece.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this discussion of Jenny Pat's insightful article. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of DIY web archiving, thanks to a new zine. It's a 22-page, full-color masterpiece, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's amazing they've made web archiving so accessible. I mean, it's usually seen as this highly technical field, right? But this zine, created by Quinn Dombrowski, Tessa Walsh, Anna Kijas, Ilya Kremer, and Amanda Wyatt Visconti, demystifies the whole process.
Exactly. And the best part? It's CC BY-NC, so it's freely available for non-commercial use. They even have a poster version of the cover, perfect for encouraging others to grab a copy and participate in preserving the web. Brilliant.
I love that they're thinking about distribution. Leaving copies in public spaces? That's a really effective way to spread awareness. Clever! And the fact that it's based on a workshop co-sponsored by Web Recorder SUCHO and ACH adds a layer of credibility, you know?
Totally. It's not just some random guide, it's backed by established organizations in the field. They're even planning a black and white version for accessibility, and those without color printers. Thoughtful!
Yeah, that's a great point. It shows they're really committed to making this information available to everyone, regardless of their resources. Impressive! And I'm excited about the future editions. The catalog entry, printing instructions. It's going to be a comprehensive resource.
I agree. It's more than just a zine, it's a community project. They're building a movement around DIY web archiving. Fantastic! And the fact that they're planning to post images of each page online makes it even more accessible. It's a really smart strategy.
I see. It's a multi-pronged approach to reach a wider audience. Ingenious. I wonder if they'll consider translating it into other languages in the future. That would be a huge step towards global web preservation.
That's a great point. That would definitely broaden its impact. But even without that, the current initiative is already incredibly valuable. Amazing work! This zine is a testament to the power of collaborative efforts in tackling important digital preservation challenges.
Totally. It's inspiring to see such a well-executed project that makes complex information accessible and engaging. Fantastic. I'm definitely going to download this zine and share it with my network.
I'm going to do the same. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for joining us, and remember to check out the links in the show notes. Goodbye, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a fascinating application of AI in computational science. Physics-informed neural networks, or PINNs, for solving partial differential equations. Exciting stuff.
Absolutely. I've been reading about this. The core idea seems to be using neural networks to approximate solutions to PDEs, right? But what makes PINNs different from just a regular neural network approach?
Precisely. The key is that PINNs aren't just blindly fitting data. They incorporate the underlying physics of the problem directly into the training process. We're not just approximating a function. We're approximating a solution that obeys known physical laws. Think of it like this. A regular neural network might learn to predict the trajectory of a ball, but a pin would learn that trajectory while also respecting gravity and air resistance.
That's a great analogy. So how does this incorporation of physics actually work? Is it just adding another term to the loss function?
Exactly. The loss function includes a term representing the residual of the PDE. For example, in the 2D heat equation, the residual is the difference between the time derivative of temperature and the Laplacian of temperature, scaled by thermal diffusivity. The network is trained to minimize this residual, ensuring the solution satisfies the equation.
I see. So the network learns to minimize the error in both the data and the physical law itself. That's clever. But what about the challenges of solving PDEs? The article mentions several, like limited data and high computational cost.
You're spot on. Traditional methods like finite difference or finite element methods can struggle with these issues, especially in higher dimensions. PINNs, however, offer some significant advantages. First, they can generalize well even with limited data, because the physics are baked in. Second, while the training process itself is computationally intensive, once trained, the PIN can provide solutions much faster than traditional methods for new inputs.
That's a huge win. So the article shows an implementation for the 2D heat equation. It's pretty straightforward, using standard neural network libraries like PyTorch. But the key is that physics-informed loss function, right? It uses automatic differentiation to calculate the derivatives needed for the heat equation residual.
Precisely. The beauty of it is that the automatic differentiation handles the complex calculations of partial derivatives, which are often a major hurdle in solving PDEs manually. The code is relatively concise, focusing on defining the network architecture, the loss function, and the training loop. The output, as shown in the animated GIF, is a visualization of the heat diffusion over time, demonstrating the accuracy of the PINN's solution.
One thing I found interesting, though, is that the article mentions other methods like FDM and FEM but doesn't delve into them. Maybe a future episode could compare and contrast these approaches more directly? It would be a great follow-up.
That's a great suggestion. A comparative analysis would definitely be valuable. It would allow us to highlight the strengths and weaknesses of each method more clearly. But for now, the key takeaway is that PINNs offer a powerful, flexible, and efficient way to solve PDEs, especially when data is scarce and physical consistency is paramount. They represent a significant advancement in computational science, bridging the gap between data-driven AI and physics-based modeling.
Absolutely. A really exciting development. Thanks for breaking this down for us.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion illuminating. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of Lukashisa, a truly remarkable memory device from the Luba people. It's mind-blowing.
I'm already hooked. So what exactly is a Lukasa? Is it like a really advanced ancient computer or something?
Not exactly a computer, but close. It's an hourglass-shaped wooden tablet, about 20 to 25 centimeters long. Think of it as a three-dimensional, tactile database. It's covered in beads, shells, and metal, arranged in specific patterns. Each arrangement tells a story.
Wow, so it's like a visual mnemonic device, but way more complex. How does it work?
That's right. Specialized court historians, called Bana Balut, or men of memory, would trace the patterns with their fingers, reciting genealogies, migration routes, even epic poems. It's an incredible way to preserve history.
So the beads themselves aren't just decoration. They represent specific people, places, or events? Like a code?
Precisely. For example, a red bead might represent Nkongolo Mwamba, a tyrannical anti-hero, because of his association with violence. Blue, or black, beads represent Mbidi Kilue, a culture hero linked to power and potential. It's a whole system of symbolic representation.
That's incredibly sophisticated. And the Lukakasa weren't just used for general history, right? There were different types?
Absolutely. There were at least 3 types. The Lukasa Iwa Nkunda, focusing on mythical heroes and migrations. The Lukasa Iwa Kabemba, detailing the Mbudye society's structure. And the Lukasa Iwa Kitenta, containing secret information about kingship. Unfortunately, no examples of that last one survive.
Fascinating. So the Mbudye society, what was their role in all this?
The Mbudye were a powerful secret society, and membership was essential for political office. They acted as a check on the power of kings and chiefs, interpreting the Luka membership and ensuring the preservation of Lukaba traditions. Think of them as the keepers of the cultural database.
I see. It sounds like the Lukasinksa weren't just memory aids, but also powerful symbols of authority and cultural identity.
Exactly. The form itself, the hourglass shape, the carved mounds, the placement of the beads, all contributed to its function. The Luba believed that an object's appearance directly influenced its effectiveness. Form follows function, but in a deeply symbolic way.
That's a really interesting point. It highlights the holistic nature of Luba culture, where aesthetics and functionality are intertwined. It's not just about remembering, it's about how you remember, and the cultural significance embedded in the process.
Precisely. The Lukasasa are more than just artifacts. They're testaments to the ingenuity and cultural richness of the Luba people. A powerful example of how oral traditions can be preserved and transmitted through art. A truly remarkable achievement.
Absolutely. Thanks for shedding light on this incredible piece of history. It's a truly inspiring example of human ingenuity and cultural preservation.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Join us tomorrow for another fascinating deep dive into the world of technology and history. Back. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating story about Jeff Atwood, the co-founder of Stack Overflow, and his ambitious philanthropic plan. He's pledging to donate over half his net worth within the next 5 years. Pretty incredible, huh?
Absolutely. A $1.8 billion acquisition? That's a life-changing amount of money. But what's driving his decision to give away such a significant portion of his wealth so quickly? It's not just about the money, is it?
Exactly. He's deeply concerned about wealth inequality in America. He points to rising costs of housing, healthcare, and education as major barriers to the American dream. He even talks about how his own success makes him acutely aware of the disparity. He struggled to pay for college himself, relying on grants and part-time jobs.
I see. So it's not just about giving back, it's about addressing systemic issues that prevent others from achieving similar success. He's clearly not just writing a check and walking away. This is a proactive approach.
Precisely. He's already made several million-dollar donations to organizations like Team Rubicon and the Trevor Project. And his timeline is remarkably ambitious. 5 years. Compare that to other billionaires like Warren Buffett, who plans to distribute his wealth gradually after his death. Atwood's urgency is striking.
That's a huge difference. He's clearly motivated by a sense of urgency, citing the slow pace of government change due to political polarization. He wants to see tangible impact in his lifetime, not decades later. It's a bold statement.
Yeah, it is, and it's not without its challenges. Even the article mentions the difficulties of effective large-scale philanthropy. Figuring out which organizations to support and ensuring the money is used effectively. Jeff Bezos himself has talked about how hard it is. It's not just about the money, it's about the strategy.
Absolutely. The article highlights Mackenzie Scott as an example of someone who successfully navigated these challenges. With her yield-giving initiative, her approach of quietly researching and supporting underserved communities is quite impressive. She set a high bar.
Right. And Atwood's approach, while different, shares a similar focus on impact. He's not just throwing money at the problem, he's actively trying to address the root causes of inequality. He wants everyone to have a fair shot at the American dream, not just the wealthy few. It's a powerful message. A truly inspiring story.
It really is. It's a refreshing perspective on wealth and philanthropy. It's not just about accumulating wealth, but about using it to create positive change. And the urgency he brings to the table is commendable. It's a call to action, really.
Exactly. And that's why this story is so compelling. It's a reminder that wealth can be a powerful tool for good, and that even the most successful individuals can feel a responsibility to use their resources to create a more equitable society. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this discussion. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating zero-click de-anonymization attack targeting major platforms like Signal and Discord. A 15-year-old Daniel uncovered this, and it's pretty wild.
Wow, a 15-year-old? That's incredible. So what's the core vulnerability here? Is it a flaw in Signal or Discord themselves?
Not exactly. The vulnerability lies in how these apps, and hundreds of others, use Cloudflare's CDN and caching. Daniel cleverly exploited the proximity of Cloudflare's data centers to users.
I see. So Cloudflare's global network is the weak point?
Precisely. Cloudflare caches frequently accessed content in its many data centers. The HTTP response includes information about the cache status, a HIT or miss, and the CFRAY identifier, which hints at the nearest data center.
But how does that lead to de-anonymization? Isn't that just showing which data center served the request?
Right, but by triggering a cache HIT on a user's device, you can pinpoint the data center serving that content. Since data centers are geographically localized, you get a pretty good estimate of the user's location.
Okay, so you trick a user's device into requesting a resource that gets cached. But how do you do that without the user even clicking anything? That's the zero-click part, right?
Exactly. The zero-click aspect is brilliant. Daniel used push notifications. Signal and Discord, by default, include the message content, or even just an image, in their push notifications. The user's device downloads this content, even without opening the app, causing a cache HIT in a nearby data center.
So essentially, the push notification itself is the attack vector. Clever. But what about the response from the companies?
Well, that's where things get a little disappointing. Signal basically said it wasn't their problem, that users should use VPNs or Tor for anonymity. Discord initially seemed receptive, but later shifted the blame to Cloudflare.
That's frustrating. It seems like a shared responsibility, doesn't it? The app should be aware of the potential for this kind of abuse.
Absolutely. And Cloudflare, while patching the specific bug Daniel used to target data centers, didn't address the underlying issue. Daniel even bypassed their patch by using a VPN to access different data centers.
So the problem persists. What can users do to protect themselves?
Well, there's no perfect solution, but disabling push notifications for these apps is a good start. Being aware of this vulnerability is crucial, and, of course, using a VPN can help mask your location.
This is a serious issue. It highlights the unintended consequences of seemingly benign design choices. Thanks for breaking this down for us.
Absolutely. And a huge shout out to Daniel for his incredible work. This is a wake-up call for developers and users alike. Remember to stay informed and vigilant about your online privacy. Thanks for listening to Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating GitHub project, Notepad.js. It's a surprisingly popular recreation of the classic Windows Notepad, but with a modern twist.
A modern notepad? Intriguing. What makes this one stand out from, the countless text editors already out there?
That's a great question. It's not just about the functionality, it's about the experience. The creator, Itamarom, aimed for a pixel-perfect recreation of the original Notepad's simplicity. Plus, it's installable as a progressive web app, PWA, which is pretty neat. Think offline access and a truly native-feeling experience.
APWA? So you can use it even without an internet connection? That's a smart move, especially for something as basic as a notepad. What's the tech stack like? I'm curious.
Absolutely. It leverages Vue.js, which is a popular JavaScript framework, for the front end. And, get this, it uses the File System Access API for local file operations. That's a pretty modern approach to handling files directly from the browser. They also use TypeScript, CSS, and HTML, of course.
The File System Access API. I see. That's a relatively new feature, right? It must make the whole file saving and loading process much smoother than older methods. It's interesting how they've managed to combine such a simple UI with relatively advanced tech.
Exactly. It's a testament to how even simple applications can benefit from modern web technologies. And speaking of simple, the UI is remarkably faithful to the original Notepad. The GitHub page even includes screenshots showing just how close it is. It's almost nostalgic.
Nostalgia is a powerful motivator. I bet many users appreciate that attention to detail. So, it's open source, right? What's the license?
Yes, it's open source under the GPL 2.0 license. That means it's freely available, and anyone can contribute. The creator even explicitly welcomes criticism, issues, and pull requests, which is a great sign of a welcoming community.
That's fantastic. Open source and actively maintained, that's a recipe for success. It already has 120 stars and 4 forks on GitHub, which is pretty impressive for a project like this. What's next on the roadmap?
Well, the creator still has some ambitious goals. They're aiming for a completely pixel-perfect Notepad UI, and there are a few more features planned, like improved local file system operations. It's a work in progress, but it's already quite functional and enjoyable to use.
It sounds like a really well-executed project. A simple idea, but implemented with modern tools and a clear vision. I'm definitely checking it out. Thanks for highlighting this, hidden gem.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Remember to check out the Notepad.js project on GitHub, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into System Informer, a free, powerful, multi-purpose system utility. It's amazing!
I've heard whispers about this tool, but I'm eager to hear more. What makes it so special? Is it just another system monitor?
Oh, it's way more than that. Think of it as a Swiss Army knife for system diagnostics and debugging. It lets you monitor resources, debug software, and even detect malware, all in one package. It's incredibly comprehensive.
Wow, that's a broad range of functionality. Can you give me some specific examples? I'm particularly interested in its debugging capabilities.
Absolutely. For instance, if you're struggling with a file you can't delete or edit, System Informer lets you find out which processes are holding onto it. It shows you exactly which handles are in use, allowing you to potentially close them, though, use caution there. It's a last resort. Data loss is a real possibility.
Right, I see. That's incredibly useful. And what about resource monitoring? How does it compare to, say, Task Manager?
System Informer goes far beyond Task Manager. It provides detailed graphs and statistics, allowing you to pinpoint resource hogs and runaway processes quickly. You can even hover over the graphs to get tooltips with detailed information, and double-clicking takes you to even more process details, even if the process is no longer running. It's brilliant.
That's impressive. So it's essentially providing historical context, not just a snapshot in time. What about network monitoring?
Yes, exactly. It also gives you a highly detailed overview of network activity, showing you which programs have active connections. You can even close those connections if needed. It's got real-time information on disk access, disk usage, GPU usage. It's a complete package.
It sounds like it has a very comprehensive approach to system monitoring. Does it offer any advanced features beyond the basics?
Oh, absolutely. It lets you view detailed stack traces with kernel mode, WOW64, and .NET support. It even lets you manage services, going beyond the limitations of the standard services.msc tool. You can create, edit, and control services, including drivers.
That's a significant advantage for system administrators. And what about the user interface? Is it user-friendly?
It's very intuitive. It has a clean interface with support for light and dark themes, and you can customize it with modern icons to match your style. It's really well designed. I think the best way to describe it is elegant.
So to summarize, System Informer is a free, powerful tool offering comprehensive system monitoring, advanced debugging capabilities, and even malware detection features. It's a significant upgrade over standard system tools.
Precisely. It's a must-have for anyone who needs a deep dive into their system's performance and stability. It's incredibly powerful yet surprisingly easy to use. Definitely check it out. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating discovery about an exoplanet named WASP-127b. It's got some seriously impressive wind speeds.
Wow, supersonic winds? That sounds incredible. Just how fast are we talking?
Over 20,000 miles per hour. That's more than 80 times faster than the strongest wind gust ever recorded on Earth. Can you imagine?
Absolutely mind-blowing. So this WASP-127b, it's not in our solar system, right?
Correct. It's an exoplanet located about 520 light-years away in the Milky Way. It's a gas giant, much larger than Jupiter, but significantly less dense. Almost puffy, you could say. Think of it as a giant, fluffy ball of gas with incredibly fast winds.
Puffy and super windy. How did they even measure the wind speed on something so far away? That seems almost impossible.
That's where the Very Large Telescope, VLT, in Chile comes in. They track the movement of molecules in WASP-127b's atmosphere using the VLT. Amazing technology, right? It's a testament to human ingenuity.
It really is. So, what's the significance of this discovery? Why is everyone so excited about these super fast winds?
Well, it challenges our current understanding of atmospheric dynamics on gas giants. It's unexpected, you know? The speeds are surprisingly high. It pushes us to refine our models and theories about how these planetary atmospheres behave.
I see. So it's not just about the speed itself, but also the implications for our understanding of planetary science? It's like a puzzle piece that helps us understand the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's a significant step forward in our exploration of exoplanets and their diverse characteristics. It opens up new avenues of research and helps us better understand the formation and evolution of planets beyond our solar system. Pretty cool, huh?
Absolutely. This discovery really highlights how much we still have to learn about the universe. It's inspiring, to say the least.
It certainly is. And it's a great example of how international collaboration and advanced technology are pushing the boundaries of our knowledge. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed learning about WASP-127b and its supersonic winds. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating discussion sparked by Larry Ellison's comments on AI surveillance and its potential impact on citizen behavior. It's a complex issue, isn't it?
Absolutely. The idea that AI surveillance will somehow magically make everyone behave better is, a bit naive, don't you think? It feels like a massive oversimplification of a very complicated problem. I mean, what about the potential for misuse? The chilling effect on free speech.
Exactly. Ellison's statement seems to ignore the inherent biases in AI systems and the potential for discriminatory outcomes. We've seen examples of this already, with facial recognition technology disproportionately targeting certain demographics. This isn't about magically improving behavior. It's about control.
Right. And the comparison to China's social credit system, as highlighted in some of the responses, is chilling. That system uses surveillance to control and punish dissent. It's a far cry from Ellison's rosy picture of improved citizen behavior. It's Orwellian.
You're right. The responses highlight a wide range of concerns, from the potential for civil unrest to the fundamental violation of privacy rights. One user even invoked Sauron, which, speaks volumes about the perception of this technology. It's not just about crime prevention. It's about the erosion of individual liberties.
And the idea that increased surveillance will somehow magically improve police behavior is equally problematic. Police brutality is a systemic issue, not one solved by simply recording everything. It requires addressing the root causes, not just documenting the symptoms. It's a band-aid solution at best.
Precisely. The discussion also touches upon the legal implications. One user correctly points out that 24/7 surveillance is an unlawful search. This isn't just a matter of ethics, it's a matter of law. We're talking about potential legal challenges and the need for robust regulations. It's a huge legal minefield.
It's a slippery slope, isn't it? Once you start down this path of pervasive surveillance, it's difficult to know where it will end. The potential for abuse is immense, and the consequences could be devastating. We need to be extremely cautious.
Absolutely. The conversation underscores the urgent need for a broader public discussion about the ethical, legal, and societal implications of widespread AI surveillance. We need to consider the potential benefits alongside the very real risks. And we need to do it now, before it's too late.
I couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope this discussion has sparked some thought-provoking questions for our listeners.
And remember, folks, stay informed, stay critical, and stay vigilant. Goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating paper. Tensor Product Attention is all you need. It's a game changer in the world of large language models, addressing a major scalability issue. Exciting stuff!
I'm really keen to hear about this. The title itself is bold. What's the core problem they're tackling?
Exactly. The problem is memory. Scaling language models to handle longer input sequences usually means needing huge key-value caches. Think of it like this. The longer the text the model processes, the more memory it needs to store all the information for context. This leads to massive memory overhead, especially during inference, when you're actually using the model.
So it's a bottleneck for processing long texts? Makes sense.
Precisely. And that's where Tensor Product Attention, TPA, comes in. They propose a new attention mechanism that uses tensor decompositions. Instead of storing everything directly, they cleverly factorize the queries, keys, and values into smaller, more manageable components. This drastically reduces the size of the KV cache.
Clever. So it's like compressing the information before storing it?
Exactly. They call it contextual factorization. They're not just compressing randomly, they're doing it in a way that preserves the important contextual information now. And they integrate this seamlessly with rotary position embedding, ROPE, which helps the model understand the position of words in the sequence.
Interesting. But does this compression affect the model's performance? I mean, you can't just compress everything and expect the same results, right?
That's a great point. And that's where the results are truly impressive. They built a new model architecture called T6, based on TPA. They tested it against standard transformer baselines, MHA, MQA, GQA, and MLA, and T6 outperforms them across various metrics, including perplexity and several well-known benchmarks.
So not only is it more memory efficient, but it's also more accurate? That's a significant breakthrough. Wow.
Absolutely. And the best part? Because of its memory efficiency, T6 can handle significantly longer sequences with the same resources. This directly addresses the scalability challenge that's been limiting the capabilities of large language models. They even made the code available, which is fantastic for the community.
This is huge. It opens up possibilities for processing much longer documents, potentially revolutionizing tasks like document summarization or question answering on extensive datasets.
Precisely. It's a significant step forward in making large language models more practical and scalable. The paper is quite comprehensive, with extensive empirical evaluations. It's definitely worth a thorough read for anyone working in this field.
Definitely adding this to my reading list. Thanks for the summary.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time with more exciting developments from the world of technology. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into Agnes Collard's Open Socrates, a fascinating exploration of Socratic inquiry and its relevance to modern life. It's a book that really makes you think.
I've heard whispers about this one. So what's the core argument? Is it just about asking questions, or is there something deeper?
It's much more than just question everything. Collard argues that the Socratic method isn't a mere rhetorical trick. It's a profound approach to knowledge that challenges our fundamental assumptions. She uses Cromwell's letter as a great example. He urged others to self-examine, but conveniently ignored his own actions. Hypocritical, right?
So it's about genuine self-reflection, not just intellectual posturing. But how does this connect to everyday life? Does the book offer practical advice?
That's where it gets interesting. Collard introduces the Tolstoy problem, that nagging existential question of life's meaning that can hit even at the height of success. Tolstoy, despite his wealth and fame, was nearly driven to suicide by this question. It's a powerful illustration of how avoiding these untimely questions can be incredibly damaging.
Wow. So the book isn't a self-help guide then? More of a philosophical exploration?
Exactly. It's about confronting these difficult questions head-on, not running away from them. Collard argues that Socrates provides a model for navigating this, emphasizing the importance of consistent self-examination, even if it's uncomfortable. He was famously ugly, and his hygiene was questionable, yet he stuck to his principles.
Interesting. So Socrates' personal life is relevant to the argument? I see. But the review mentions a lot of repetition. Is that a flaw?
Yeah, that's a valid criticism. The review points out that Collard's style, while jargon-free, can be repetitive. She often re-explains points, which, while helpful for some, might feel tedious to others. It's a trade-off, I guess. Clarity versus conciseness.
I see. So it's a book that demands active engagement from the reader. It's not a passive read.
Precisely. It challenges you to actively participate in the process of self-inquiry. The review highlights Moore's paradox as a great example. The seemingly logical yet absurd statement, "I believe honey spoils, but it doesn't." It shows how our self-knowledge can be flawed, emphasizing the need for external questioning. Like rubber ducking, a technique programmers use to debug their code by explaining it to an inanimate object.
That's a really interesting analogy. So, the book ultimately advocates for a kind of intellectual humility?
Yes. Collard portrays Socrates as both a midwife, helping us birth new understanding, and a gadfly, annoyingly challenging our assumptions. The book concludes with Socrates' death, highlighting the courage required for honest self-reflection, even in the face of mortality. It's a powerful message about the importance of facing our own limitations.
It sounds like a thought-provoking read, even with its flaws. Thanks for summarizing it.
You're welcome. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating paper on Flame, a surprisingly small language model designed to revolutionize spreadsheet formula assistance. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, I saw this one too. 60 million parameters? That's tiny compared to the behemoths we usually see, right? How does it even compete?
That's the amazing part. They cleverly leverage domain-specific knowledge. Instead of training on a massive, general-purpose dataset, they focused exclusively on Excel formulas. Think of it like specializing a general-purpose tool for a very specific job.
So, a niche approach. Makes sense. Less data, less compute, but still powerful. What kind of tasks does it tackle?
They tested it on 3 key areas: formula repair, formula completion, and similarity-based formula retrieval. And get this, In many cases, it outperforms much larger models, like Codex and Code 5.
Wow, that's a significant achievement. I'm curious about their training techniques. What makes their approach so effective?
They used some clever techniques. First, they carefully curated their training dataset, using sketch deduplication to avoid redundant information. Then, they developed a specialized tokenizer for Excel formulas, understanding the unique syntax and structure. Finally, they adapted masked span prediction and noisy autoencoding standard pre-training objectives to the specifics of Excel formulas.
So it's not just about the size, but also about the tailored approach. The specialized tokenizer is key, I think. It's like teaching the model the language of spreadsheets from the ground up.
Exactly. And the results speak for themselves. In 10 out of 14 evaluation settings for repair and completion, Flame beat out much larger models. For formula retrieval, it even outperformed Code T5, CodeBERT, and GraphCodeBERT. Impressive!
I see. But doesn't focusing so narrowly limit its applicability? Could it struggle with formulas outside of the Excel ecosystem?
That's a valid point. It's definitely a trade-off. The specialization gives it incredible power within its domain, but it might not generalize as well to other spreadsheet software or programming languages. It's a focused solution, not a universal one.
Right, a focused solution. Still, the efficiency gains are remarkable. This could be a game changer for making powerful AI assistants accessible to a wider range of users.
Absolutely. The smaller size means it's easier to deploy and less expensive to run, making it a practical solution for everyday users. This research really highlights the power of specialized models and targeted training. It's a fantastic example of how domain expertise can lead to significant improvements in performance.
Definitely. Thanks for breaking this down. It's a really interesting development in the field of AI-assisted programming.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the daily roundup of Tech Bytes and News. See you again tomorrow. Goodbye.